Hello and welcome to today's video on 3D drawing for your model railway. Today I'm looking to draw this 40-foot shipping container. I'm going to be using some scale plans that I've got offline. I can't show them because they're obviously copyrighted, so I will be doing some jump cuts and I'm referring backwards and forwards between some photos that I've got. Hopefully we should be able to do this in about half an hour or so. It gives you some idea of what to do and how to achieve a shipping container that you can use on your layout. Okay, to start on this container, I'm doing a 40-foot by 8-foot by 8'6" container. So we'll draw on this plane here, and I'm going to draw it in quarters so that I can then mirror it up to the dimension I want. So I'm going to start with a 2-point rectangle, and I need that to be 17mm because it's 8'6" high. And it's going to need to be 8mm wide because its overall dimension is 8mm, so 2 times in these dimensions by 2 for the mirroring. And I'm going to extrude that to 40mm. Okay, so the next one I'm going to do is add some details onto the end of where the locking points are, top and bottom, so we'll draw those on. I'm going to do an offset plane from this face, and it's going to be 0.2mm out from that face there. I'm going to sketch on that plane, and I'm going to use my 2-point rectangle and draw it up here. Okay, now I'm going to want it to be 1mm tall, and I'm going to want it to be 1.5mm long. I'm going to define the height from the top there to, actually I'm going to have to do define again, escape, define, there to that corner, and I want that to be 0.2mm, and from there to that corner I want that to be 0.2mm. That's it. Okay, and I'm going to extrude into the body, 1mm, new body. Okay, so what we're going to do is add a bit of detail to this before we copy this down. So we've got to draw in the locking points. I'm going to create a sketch on this face. We use a rectangle. The locking points aren't square, and they're not oval, and they're not really circular either. They've got like a square with curved edges or curved corners. So we're going to draw that in. So just draw a normal rectangle. I'm going to use the fillet tool to add fillet on all these corners of 0.2mm, and then we'll define it from here. So there to that edge we'll go 0.3mm, that face to that face 0.3mm. Type in 0.3. Why is it not defined? It could be to do with that. Okay, so if we go 0.26, and then we'll leave a little bit at the top there. That's fine. I'll live with that. So 0.25 at the top, and we'll do the same at the bottom. 0.25. Okay, that's a bit too oval, I think. So what we can do is we define this as 0.28, like that, 0.28, and we'll probably change these so I like it a little bit. That's better. Happier with that. Okay. So if we extrude this one now into the body, we'll go 0.4. And then we'll copy the sketch onto a sketch on this plane as well. So if we go into that sketch, edit it, and then copy by holding the left mouse button down and dragging down across. So we come up to the top here and just dragging across like that. And then right click, copy, finish sketch, press escape so that's no longer highlighted, create a new sketch on this plane, and then paste it. There it is. And move it in to position. Click on OK. And we've got to define its position here. So we'll do there to there. 0.6. There to there. 0. Actually, we'll define the shape first before we define that. So if we delete that one, because otherwise what will happen is it will start changing the shape, which we don't want. There to there. Define that radius. That's already done. That's fine. Okay, there to there. 0.2. And define that edge to that edge. That's already defined. What's not defined? That edge there, maybe? Nope, that's defined. So distance from there to there, distance from there to there. Could be that. Nope. Overall distance is fine, that's defined. Weird, I wonder what that's not defined on. Just check. Nope, that's defined. To be defined here. No, it's defined there as well. Weird. I think that must be just a quirk of the software because everything seems to be defined there. So we'll leave it as is, and then we'll extrude that back into the body the same as we did at the top. Okay, so that's those two locking pins. Okay, so the next thing I'm going to do is just take a bit out of the top as well. This hole looks rectangular on the images I'm looking at. So just come up onto the top, create a sketch on this face. We're just going to use an offset because it does look centered actually. So if we go offset to that, bring it in by minus 0.25. And then extrude that into the body. Yep, okay, good. Turn the body back on, and then we're going to copy this down to the bottom. I'm not worried about the hole on the top here being on the bottom. Obviously, you're not going to see it on model form. So we're going to do rectangular pattern, body. We're going to use the body that we've just drawn there. Direction, we're going to bring it down. We're going to need 2 of them. I'm going to place this on the bottom. There. I'm actually going to edit that. I'm going to bring that back up to there. There we go. Okay, good. So now we'll combine all those into one. So use the combine tool at the top. Target body is going to be body number 1, and then tool bodies will be the 2 that we've just drawn. Combine those in. Okay, so the next one I'll do is I'm going to draw in the ribbon on the roof. So we're going to spin this round to back face it. We're going to start drawing on this middle part and work our way back outwards. So we'll sketch on the back plane here, and then they're sort of triangular in shape, these ribs. So they come down, across, and then back up. But looking at the dimensions I've got on the scale plan I'm working from, we're going to have this there to there, 0.5. Undo that. Let's try that again. Let's define the overall length first. There to there. 1.6. No, 1.6 millimeters. Go back into that, so that should be 0.5. Define there to there. That's also 0.5 millimeters. And then the depth as 0.3 meters. That's defined. So check the angles defined. That's defined. Angles defined. Good. And there to there, we need to be 0.3 millimeters. So then what we're looking for is a 0.6 millimeter spacing on all of these. Let's have a look. Let's have a look. Yep. We're going to extrude inwards. Don't go all the way through. Going to 7.5 millimeters. Yep. Okay. And then we'll rectangular pattern. We'll use the faces. We'll use that in that direction. Let's rotate to the top so we can see where it is. Like that, and we'll add the pattern to. Okay, and we'll see what the distance between the two here is by using the inspect. So there to there is 0.8. So if we increase the pattern a little bit more, quantity of them, and then we'll check to see what that looks like now. Inspect there to there, 0.5. Yeah, okay, we can go with that. That's giving us that ribbed effect on the roof. Yeah. Okay, so the next thing we're going to do is copy this pattern down onto the side. So I'm going to go into that sketch. I'm going to copy that up there. Shortcuts, Control-C for copy. Okay, the next thing I'm going to do is make sure I come escape so that it's not highlighted still. Construction, offset plane from that face. And I want it to be down by 1 millimeter. To then draw on that face, create a sketch, selecting the plane, and Control-V pastes. I've copied the sketch, and you see it's the wrong way around because of sometimes when you rotate through different angles for your sketch, it rotates it and places it in weird angles. So you've just got to go around and change it all. So we'll change that 90 degrees. I'm going to bring that back. Finish sketch, and then we can go back in here, edit it, and we'll define dimensions. So from there to there should be 0. So we actually, the best way to do that is to do coincidence. Actually, that should be 0.3, and we'll put that in coincidence with that line there. Same with that one to there. Okay, distances define there to there angle wise 1.9. There to there angle wise 1.9. Yeah, let's change that. Define that. That's 0.6. There we go. Let's start again. Define that to start with. So there, 0.6. And then define that distance to that distance was 0.5. That distance to that distance was 0.5. It's already done that. So we define the angle there. And angle there. It's weird why those angles are different. Let's have a look, see what's going on there. Let's delete that one. Define. Let's get rid of that dimension. No, that one works. Define that distance to that distance. 0.5. Okay, so why is it like that? let's try changing these. $50 to the 50. Okay, okay. Now if we hold down left mouse button, we get the pop up so we can select the profile. Then we'll extrude that. So we spin that back around so we see what we're looking at. Drag that down. Distance on the bottom there looks okay. Okay, they've got that ribbed. Okay, we're going to pattern that feature that we just cut out. Direction coming along the bottom. That was minus 36.5 and the number of them was 80. Okay, so we're now getting that to start looking like a container now. Okay, so symmetrically I think that's pretty much as far as we can go before we start mirroring things. So we'll create a mirror of this body and we'll select this inside face here. So we've now got our 40-foot container. We can draw the two ends on. So I think we'll start on this end here by copying that same rib effect and drawing it along here as well. So we'll go into this sketch here. Let's spin this round. Select that sketch again. Control C. Escape. And draw it onto this wall here. So we're going to do a sketch using that offset plane that we had earlier. So on that plane there. Okay, I want to be up here, so paste over here. Find out where it's pasted. Can't see it. Where is it? Let's try again. Paste. There it is. Okay. See it paste last time. Paste that there. Okay, so now what we'll do is coincidence to that line edge. We'll define distance from there to there as 0.3 millimeters. All good. For coincidence that to that line as well, just to make sure. Yep. Okay, and define distance from there to there. 0.3. Good. That's defined. That should already be defined. Check that angle there. That's defined. Overall distance, that's defined. 1.6. Yeah, that's fine. Okay. For some reason, it's just a quirk where it's not selecting that, so we can extrude that downwards. Spin out so we can see what we're looking at. And we'll extrude that down. I think it was 15 mil on the last side. Okay, and then same as before, we can pattern that feature across the wagon. Probably going to need 3 of them here, I think. Maybe 4. Let's see what 4 looks like. No, that's too close to those 3. Okay. Okay, So looking at the photos, there's normally 8 of these, so I'm going to adjust this. So I'm going to add an extra 1 in there, spread them out a little bit. That's 5.5. I'm probably going to actually go in and change this sketch actually. So if we come in here, edit sketch, and we'll start playing around in here. Let's change the overall length to 1.45. Okay. Have a look, see how that looks. So down, there we go. Yeah, that looks better. So all I've done there is just made these slightly narrower. You probably won't even notice it in the model, but I think that gives more realistic space in between them, and spacing between the edges is better. Okay, so happy with that. Okay, so the next thing I want to do is add the same ribs to the door. Now looking at the photos, the pattern on the door changes depending on the container you're looking at. Some have got 3, some have got 4 ribs going horizontally rather than vertically. So we'll use the same dimensions and sketch that we used for these ones. So we'll create an offset plane from the back wall here, and we'll bring it in 1mm, and then we'll create a sketch on that offset plane. Okay, we're going to use the same sketch, so we can paste it. So put it down here. Let's have a look. Do we need to rotate? Yep. Rotate that way. And then we're going to put coincidence. Click OK. We're going to coincidence the position from there to there. It snaps on. And we'll start to define these. So that's 0.6. Distance from there to there was 0.3. We'll make sure that that's snapped on as well. Yep. And distance. Define the sketch dimensions from the distance there, 0.5. That one should already be defined because of the overall length. And we'll set the height. So we'll go from the corner to the edge. And I'm going to go for, let's have a look with what 4 looks like to start with. So I'm going to go with one that's got 3. Still probably a bit much, so I'll do 3. So there'll be 3 ribs coming across there. Let's find that profile, and then we'll extrude that, spin round across like that. Good. And then we'll pattern that down. So select that feature, direction downwards. We'll have 3 of them, and we'll click on OK. So now I've got the 3 ribs coming across. Good. Okay, so the next one I draw is the seam that goes around the outside of the doors. So we'll create a sketch on that face, and we'll use a rectangle, snap to that back edge, and they're pretty much in line with these. So I'm going to go centered there, and I'm going to horizontally coincident that to that edge there, so they're the same height. Next thing I'm going to do is create another rectangle inside that. I'm going to define this one. I'm not going to use offset because I only want half the distance from there to there, as I do from here to from these two. So that's going to be 0.3mm there to there. That one's going to be 0.3mm. So it's this one. But this one here I'm going to have as 0.15 because the other 0.15 will be on the other half of the body when we mirror it over. I'm going to extrude this forwards to give us a raised lip where the door is. It's like a rubber seal looking at them, so I'm going to go out by 0.2mm. It's not particularly tall. I didn't want that to snap to there. So let's undo that. What we'll do is we'll extrude these out a little bit, I think. So if we select that face and that face, extrude those out by 0.2 millimeters, and then we'll extrude this one 0.3 millimeters, so they're not going to join there. That's it, so they've got like a step there. 0.3 is actually probably a bit too much. Let's drop that down to 0.2. That's better. Okay, next we'll add the hinges on this edge here. So we create a sketch there. I'm going to use rectangles for these because in N-Gage you're not going to notice them. In Double O you would do, so you'd probably add a bit more detail into how you're doing them. I'm just going to overlap the hinge there, so 0.5 by 1 millimeter. Define the height from that edge, 0.9, and the distance from that edge, 0.2. We'll select those profiles, extrude them outwards, and tell it to join. So coming out by 0.5. And then we'll pattern them. There's 4 hinges on each door. So we'll pattern that feature downwards direction. Quantity is 4. Okay, how that looks. Okay, so the next one we'll draw on is the locking handles that come down. So we're going to use pipe for that. We're going to create an offset plane from the top face, and we're only going to come down maybe 0.5 millimeter, I think. Yeah, click on OK. And so we're going to use pipe for those. So we're going to create a sketch on that surface. And we use circles. Now we're going to make sure they intersect this body so they will print properly. Let's have a look. Place that there. So I'm going to want it to be roughly in that position there. I'm going to go 0.4 as the diameter. Define distance from the center point to that circle as 0.1, and the center point to there 0.5. No, 1.5. Okay, good. And we'll do another circle, same position. Let's go further across. 4. Position across. That's 3.6. I'll make sure that it's defined. I'll go horizontal. Oh, no, do that. Horizontal, vertical, center point to center point. There you go. Right, and then we'll extrude these down. We'll take the whole. No, we'll leave those bits in the end there because we don't want them to appear in here. We're going to extrude those downwards. Make sure it's on join. We need to come all the way down to the bottom. Okay. The next thing we'll do is draw the 2 sideways handles that come out here. So we'll create a sketch. We'll use this front surface here. And we'll just use rectangles for these. As I say, in Double O you probably want to go a bit more detailed. If you go to O-Gage you go even more detailed. So we'll go 0.5 millimeters high and 1.5 millimeters in length to find the distance from the edge. Okay, to find the distance from that point to the origin. 6.4, and from that to the edge 1.63. 3. Now I've got it so it's slightly intersecting the pipe here. And then extrude that forwards. Go 0.5, go to join, and then we can copy that feature sideways. We need 2 of them. And click on OK. Okay, so now they're all intersect and all joined up. Okay, so I think we've reached this, how far we can get with symmetrically with this again. So we'll create a mirror of the body, and we'll do it on the back face now. And they should join. Okay, now we've got a shipping container looking a lot more container-like. Not worried about the bottom face because you're not going to see them. You're not going to turn these upside down really. The last thing I think I'll do is I'm going to put a lock that goes across the 2 doors. So we'll create a sketch on this front face. Again, we'll just use a rectangle for it. Comes across. Do 1mm by 1.4 millimeters. Define distance from there to there. We'll go 0.2, 0.3, and the height to the floor 8.1, and then we define that height as 1mm. And then we can select these profiles and then extrude those out again. And that's going to come out 1mm on that. Okay. Okay, so I think we've pretty much got that looking like a container that you'd be quite happy to sit on the back of your trains, or maybe in the back of a yard, maybe on a lorry. Obviously, if you wanted to go into bigger scales, you could start adding a little more detail in there. But I would say I'd be pretty happy to have that on my layout. If you've got any questions or comments, please leave them below, and please press the like and subscribe button. Thanks for watching.